Detective Grant tracked down the person whose name was on that final, now missing manuscript page. They were a respected philanthropist, a public figure, a donor to the town library, which housed a wing named after Harrow himself. When questioned, the suspect denied ever meeting the author, but surveillance footage from a 2015 gala proved otherwise. Harrow and the suspect had spoken privately for nearly an hour. Worse, digital forensics uncovered emails between the two, encrypted, hidden in the metadata of old manuscript drafts. One chilling message stood out. 3 days later, Harrow was dead. A deep dive into Harrow's early work revealed something strange. His first 3 novels, originally seen as unrelated crime fiction, shared a subtle pattern: names, dates, and locations that matched real cold cases from the 1980s and 90s. Each victim had ties to an elite social club that no longer officially exists, the Violet Circle, an exclusive gathering of authors, politicians, judges, and alleged fixers. The club was disbanded in 1999, or so the public was told. Arrow's editor, now living abroad, claimed Vincent once confessed. They didn't teach me how to write stories. They taught me how to hide them in plain sight. A forensic sweep of Harrow's study turned up one overlooked detail: a pool of melted wax near a shattered candle holder. But under UV light, inside the wax, a hidden microfilm strip. On it, a series of coded messages and one blurred photo. Taken in the woods behind Harrow's mansion, a group of robed figures, a bonfire, and someone kneeling in front of them, bound. Was this part of some ritual? A secret society initiation? Or evidence of a long-buried crime with deep political implications? The microfilm is now missing. The detective who found it? Gone without a trace. With every lead either vanishing or turning up dead, the case seemed doomed, but a breakthrough came from an unlikely source: Harrow's old typewriter. Technicians discovered it contained an internal memory unit, a rare prototype used in Cold War espionage, one that secretly saved keystrokes, even without paper. And stored within that device was a second ending to the manuscript. One no one was ever meant to read. But before the file could be decrypted, someone broke into evidence storage. The device was stolen. And now, everyone connected to Harrow's death is being silenced. One by one. The study door was locked from the inside with an antique skeleton key. The windows were bolted shut. The fireplace was cold. No hidden passages, no surveillance. And yet, the angle of the blood spatter, the tilt of Harrow's chair, it all suggested he hadn't been alone. An autopsy confirmed he didn't die of a heart attack or a stroke. Vincent Harrow had been poisoned, but not with anything common. A rare neurotoxin derived from a South American plant that had been banned for decades, only accessible through black market pharmacology or old government stockpiles. Where would a crime novelist even get that? In a hidden drawer inside Harrow's study, police found a notebook. Its cover burned at the edges. Inside were frantic, handwritten entries: paranoia, descriptions of being watched, mentions of an agreement from 2003, with initials scrawled beside cryptic dollar amount. One passage stood out: "If they read this, they'll erase me. If I speak, they'll make it look like fiction. But if I write just enough truth, someone will notice, someone will come looking." And then a line underlined twice: "They killed Lila, and now they're coming for me." Was Harrow investigating the murder from his novels? Or was he confessing to one? Vincent Harrow was a recluse, a literary genius, a man who had written 13 best-selling crime thrillers, each more twisted than the last. He hadn't left his estate in nearly a decade. Groceries were delivered. Calls went unanswered. Fans waited years between books. And yet, when he published, the world read. Neighbors claimed he talked to himself at night, that the lights flickered at odd hours, that sometimes Faint classical music could be heard echoing through the trees, but the one thing everyone agreed on, Vincent Hare was afraid of something. And whatever it was, he was writing it down. Detective Elise Grant was the first investigator on the scene. She found Harrow's body still warm, an unfinished chapter loaded into the typewriter. But it wasn't just fiction. The events described in those pages paralleled a real unsolved crime from 1997, one that had haunted the town for decades. The victim in the manuscript, a girl named Lila Carrington, age 19, vanished without a trace. The case had gone cold until now, on the last line of the page, typed in bold. And the one who buried her was, and then, a name. But here's the chilling twist. That name belonged to someone still alive, someone respected, powerful, and entirely above suspicion. Within hours, that page went missing from police custody. After Vincent's final manuscript revealed a name tied to the 1997 disappearance of Lila Carrington, detectives began unearthing strange coincidences surrounding the Violet Circle, a literary society with deep pockets and darker rituals. Though officially dissolved in 1999 after a fire at their lakeside lodge, leaked meeting records, obtained from a whistleblower, showed references to post-disbandment gatherings. These records contained coded aliases: the architect, the hound, the widow, and the inkwell. Each one matched real people in Vincent's life. Each was mirrored in a different book. And in every book, someone dies. Writers rewrite history all the time, but what if their edits were never fiction to begin with? One member of the original group, Agatha St. James, a retired judge and one of Harrow's few known confidants, agreed to speak, but before detectives could question her, her car exploded outside her country estate. No fingerprints, no explosive residue, just a single item found on the passenger seat, a signed copy of Harrow's unpublished manuscript with the note, "For A.S., it ends where it began." As Detective Elise Grant dug deeper into the 1997 Lila Carrington case, a forensic re-examination of the victim's possessions revealed something disturbing: hair fibers belonging to Harrow himself. The DNA match was confirmed, but the timeline didn't make sense. At the time of Lila's disappearance, Hare had been confirmed by publishers to be living in Portugal, finishing his third novel. Airline logs, photos, and interviews all supported it. So how did his DNA end up in a forest in Vermont across the ocean? Every story has a ghostwriter. Some ghosts never leave the manuscript. What if someone used Harrow's identity? Or worse, what if Harrow had more than one life? Months into the investigation, a contractor renovating Harrow's estate discovered something bizarre: a false wall behind the main study. Behind it, a narrow stairway leading to a second identical study buried beneath the floor. It was soundproofed, dustless. Inside, detectives found multiple filing cabinets filled with real police reports, autopsy photos, transcripts, and classified documents tied to crimes that were never solved, all used as material for Harrow's novels. But here's where it gets darker. A taped interview, marked confession, featured a female voice sobbing, describing a ritualistic killing in detail. That voice matched a missing persons case from 2004. The woman had been presumed dead for over a decade. After the original evidence typewriter was stolen, Grant began tracing the rare Cold War device back to its roots. It had only been sold to 3 buyers worldwide, one of whom was a former CIA handler turned novelist. That man was Victor Kane, Harrow's former mentor, and the man credited with discovering him as a writer in the early 90s. Kane had disappeared from public life years earlier, but when investigators tracked his abandoned cabin, they found a shocking clue: dozens of manuscripts under Harrow's name, written in different handwriting. Each one ended with the signature, "The Inkwell." Was Harrow merely a pen name for something bigger? Was someone using fiction to cover real operations? The pen is mightier than the sword, especially when dipped in blood. Multiple witnesses now report seeing a masked figure near Harrow's estate in the nights leading up to his death. Tall, limping, always in black. But when a trail cam from a nearby nature reserve captured a blurred image, facial recognition shocked everyone. The face belonged to Harrow himself. Only older, thinner, different eyes. Could it be an imposter? A twin? Or was Harrow still alive and the body found just a stand-in? DNA from the corpse was destroyed in the morgue fire 2 weeks after the autopsy. The technician never found. They lied. It's not about who killed Lila. It's about who she really was and why she had to die. Harrow knew. He tried to warn us. The manuscript is only part of the truth. The rest is hidden inside the ink. Detective Elise Grant was the closest person to cracking the case. She had built the timeline, linked the circle, tracked the artifacts, and traced the evidence trail to a private airfield in upstate New York. Security footage shows her entering a hangar marked with an old violet circle symbol. She was never seen again. Hours later, her apartment was ransacked, her laptop destroyed, her phone disabled. All that remained was a USB drive hidden in a hollowed-out book on her nightstand. It's labeled. The USB contained a scrambled video message from Elise. In it, she said, "Only." That last phrase triggered a realization. UV analysis of Harrow's original typewriter ribbons revealed invisible ink markings layered between letters. A code, a cipher, possibly a map, or a confession from Harrow himself. And at the center of it, a final message. The killer didn't enter the study because the killer never left. Months after Elise Grant's disappearance, an encrypted letter arrived at the precinct, delivered anonymously and sealed with wax in the shape of a black quill. Inside was a short message, typed on Harrow's model of the Cold War-era typewriter. Vincent Harrow is dead, but Charles Thorne remains. Study the Vienna photograph. Detectives retrieved the photo again, the black and white image of Harrow standing beside his mentor Victor Kane in military uniforms. Kane was confirmed to have served as an intelligence operative in psychological warfare. But Charles Thorne was a ghost. No birth record, no tax ID, no digital footprint except for 2 obscure academic articles from the early 80s signed C.T. Grant's encrypted USB, the unfinished chapter, held reconstructed voice logs. One in particular chilled investigators. They used a pen like a scalpel, carving trauma, encoding truths. Harrow wasn't writing for us. He was triggering memories in people who were never supposed to remember. His novels weren't books. They were activation scripts. What if Harrow's books weren't just stories, but tests? What if certain readers, exposed to a passage or a phrase, would suddenly recall buried truths, forgotten crimes, or even programmed directives? Truth doesn't need a megaphone. It needs a mirror. Remember Lila Carrington, the woman who vanished in 1997? The case that started everything. A sealed psychiatric evaluation from 1995 was leaked to a rogue journalist. It revealed that Lila believed she had 2 lives. One, a librarian in Vermont. The other, a covert courier delivering encoded messages inside books to government operatives. She was diagnosed with dissociative identity disorder. The treatment facility where she was held, funded by a now-defunct literary agency tied to the Violet Circle. And in one of Harrow's unpublished drafts, a character named Eliza Harrington speaks the words, a forensic leak rocked the entire case. The body found in Harrow's study, the one cremated in the suspicious morgue fire, had no fingerprints. Instead, the fingers were covered with latex, fused into the skin. Worse, dental records didn't match. The corpse was not Harrow. So where was he? Following coordinates hidden in UV ink from the typewriter ribbon, a secluded house was discovered in Bellwether, Maine, a town with less than 200 people and no digital mapping. Inside, journals, recording devices, and a single worn armchair facing a wall of surveillance monitors, all pointed at known members of the Violent Circle. And in the center of the room, scrawled on the floor in black ink, The author never dies. He rewrites himself. One journal entry stood out. It was addressed not to a person, but to a reader. If you've found this, then the story has already begun again. I was Vincent Harrow. I was Charles Thorne. But before that, I was one of them. A handler, a witness, a ghost. I saw the cost of what we buried, so I rewrote it. In fiction, over and over, until someone paid attention. And a fourth manuscript, previously unknown, surfaced in a hidden compartment of the false study beneath Harrow's house. This one was never titled. Its opening line: the killer entered the study long before the victim. The door was locked from the inside because that was the only way to keep the truth in. The manuscript follows a writer who fakes his own death using a body double while manipulating investigators to uncover a secret organization using books to erase memories and rewrite history. In the final chapter, the protagonist is seen watching his own funeral in disguise before vanishing into a crowd. And scribbled in the margin, a voicemail was left on the desk of Chief Investigator Wexley 2 months after Grant's disappearance. The voice was unmistakably hers. He's alive, but not as Horror, not anymore. He's become something else, a story, a myth, a contagion of ideas. That's what they feared, that he'd make people remember. He didn't write for fame. He wrote to undo a lie. I have the real ending, I just don't know if I should share it. Then silence. In a rare book auction in Prague, a book appeared under the name C. Thorne. Only 7 pages long, bound in leather with violet stitching. Its title? The Violet Gospel. Inside, an encrypted symbol sequence matched the cipher from Horrow's original manuscript. When decoded, the phrase reads,